I don't think we've hit that goal, to be honest. So that one so far in the year is a big fat tick. That is something I have got significantly better at. Oh, this tea is going to go everywhere. I did not think this through. I was hoping this would be like a really aesthetic entrance, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. There we go. As I was prepping to get ready to film this video, I was doing my hair, I was getting my makeup sorted. I was in my trackies with makeup stains on them, and I thought, oh, I should probably put a nicer outfit on for this video to look a bit more presentable, look a bit more like I put a bit of effort in for you. And then I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm really cozy, I'm really comfy right now, and I just want to stay in my trackies. So hopefully you forgive me for my outfit and for my lack of outfit preparation for this video, but I thought, you know what, it's going to be quite a cozy video. Hopefully whatever you're doing at the moment, you're feeling cozy as well. So use my lack of effort in my outfit as your sign to go and get a lovely warm cup of tea or a coffee or a hot drink or beverage of choice. Get cozy and let's get stuck in, because today I want to do a little quarterly review, and hold up, before you click off this video because you think, oh my god, she's going to go into like a business review or something that I, should be paid to listen into. No. We're going to do a quarterly review of my 2026 goals and targets so far. Hopefully you're sticking around, hopefully you're still here, because this might incentivize you and encourage you to do something similar with the goals that you've set so far. Yeah, I want this video to be as honest and transparent as I can make it, because I know for a fact already that I haven't achieved some of the things that I wanted to have achieved by this point in the year. And I think that's totally normal. That's kind of why you set goals, and it's why you set targets. You give yourself something to work towards in a set time frame. I think where people go wrong with goals is they don't give themselves a time frame. They say, I want to PB my 10k, I want to lose 10 kg, but then they don't give themselves an incentive of a time frame to work towards, so that they get into this headspace of, well, I'll get around to it at some point. But that getting around, you never get round. You stay put. You never get to that place because there's no urgency that you've created because you haven't put a time frame on it. So anyway, I know that I haven't achieved some of the things that I wanted to have set out to have achieved by this point. And that's all good. I want to be honest about that because that's totally normal. Just because I haven't achieved these things yet doesn't mean I'm not going to achieve them within the space of the year. This is also an opportunity to reflect on how close I've got to that goal. If I haven't hit it on the nose, how close am I? Because that in itself is motivation. Okay, I wanted to have achieved it by now, but if I'm 80% of the way there, it's just around the corner. I'm going to get there, really soon. So I wanted to go through goals that I set at the start of the year, see where I'm at, do a little bit of a touch base with those. Yeah, film it so that you can enjoy my quarterly review as well. So I've got my laptop because that's where I wrote all my goals down for the year. And I'm just going to talk through it bit by bit, basically. And hopefully I'm not going to forget to actually drink my tea, because at the moment I'm using it as a hand warmer, as a portable hot water bottle. Hot water bottles are portable. That's the whole point. Anyway, hopefully I don't forget about my tea. Okay, so let's start with, so I start my goals template with a bit of a vision boarding section, which is essentially kind of the kind of person that I want to be, the kind of way that I want to live, and the actions that I want to kind of categorize myself. How I want to be a good balance of selfish and selfless, making sure I'm acting from my own interests before others whilst still taking others into consideration. And I think I'm living by that quite well so far this year. Pushing myself and my boundaries physically, working towards specific fitness goals for the majority of the year, and professionally sticking to business goals and adhering to the steps necessary to hit them. Both of which I am really happy with so far, especially the physical side of things, working towards specific fitness goals. Obviously for the first 8 weeks of the year, I was focusing on my fat loss phase and being in a calorie deficit, dropping fat, which I did successfully. I was happy with that effort. And for the last month specifically, but for the last kind of 6 weeks generally, I've been working towards my half marathon in May, and so far training has gone incredibly well. I'm really, really happy with how everything's going there. I'm really content in being able to say that I am pushing myself massively in these training sessions and being rewarded, you know, seeing the efforts pay off pretty linearly, which feels really good. And I'd say probably in the last month, I have really stepped up my game where the business side of things is concerned. First couple of months were, you know, good, steady progress in the right direction. But the last month, the changes that I've made behind the scenes, or that Kath and I have made behind the scenes, the intention and the focus for the year ahead, the goals that we've set for the year ahead, for the rest of the year. It's exciting, it's challenging, it's nerve-wracking, but it's exactly where we both envision Strength 360 going for the rest of 2026. So that I am really happy with. And then, you know, the how I want to live section, allowing myself to enjoy everything life has to offer, not just in terms of business. And again, I think I'm definitely living by that so far this year. It's going to get harder and harder as the year goes on, especially in the next quarter, where social life wise, it's a very busy time of year, as it always is. As you enter into sort of end of spring and summer, that's always going to be where the social aspect of life starts ramping up. But again, I'm really focused. I think having a really strong driving force behind your career-based goals and business-based goals is so important when you are also a very social person and you have a very active social life, because it gives you that drive to find the balance between the two, which you're never going to get perfect. But having a really strong driving force behind the career and business side of things almost forces you to keep that balance when your social life gets busier. Spending time with people who fill my cup rather than drain it, 100%. Absolutely. I think that this move to Edinburgh over the last year, which, by the way, this time last year we put the deposit down for this flat, which is absolutely mental that it's been nearly a year since we moved up here. It'll be a year middle of May. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, since we've moved up here, I think it's been even more obvious to me who fills my cup and who drains it. And I've been really quite selfish with my time and my space and my energy so far this year, because I think with the move last year, it was very much a case of incredible excitement, wanting everybody we love to be a part of that excitement with us. But as a result, it was a very, very tiring final kind of 6 to 9 months of the year, to be honest. And so far this year, I think we've created better boundaries with our time and our energy, which has done us both the world of good. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the proper goals. So we've got 6 categories: finances, relationships, personal development, career and business, attitude and mindset, health and fitness. So a couple of them I'm going to kind of skirt over and just very briefly touch on, because I don't particularly want to be talking about, you know, the nitty gritty of my finances on the internet for quite literally anyone and everyone to see. So I'm going to skirt over a few bits and pieces that is a little bit sensitive information. Oh, cup of tea. But let's just say the financial goals that I have set for the year, we are firmly on track with. Good. Moving on. Relationships. Regular dates with JT, with my boyfriend Josh. 1 a week. I don't think we've hit that goal, to be honest, completely. We've definitely put more energy into planning date-specific activities and date days and date nights since we've moved up to Edinburgh, especially again the last few months, because it has been a little bit quieter in terms of not having as many people visiting, not having as many socials to be a part of so far this year. Like, we've been better than we have been for the last few years, but definitely not 1 a week. That's something that we do need to prioritise a little bit more, I think. And I think there's always a bit of expectation or pressure to make them quite elaborate. Not expectation or pressure from either of us, to be honest, but just kind of the social norm of a date. You think, oh, go out for a meal, go out for drinks, go and do an elaborate activity. And I think that's where we create a bit of a barrier to entry, is that we put too much expectation on what could otherwise just be a really nice romantic dinner in the kitchen where we, light some candles, put some music on, both decide to lock our phones away in the other room for like the entire night, and maybe have certain topics that we want to go a little bit deeper into. It can be as easy as that. So definitely something that we've fallen down on over the last maybe 6 weeks or so, but better, definitely better. And that's there's something to be said about that. And then more active engagement in knowing more, learning more, and being more connected to Josh's work life. So asking more questions, being more inquisitive about his work and what he's doing and the projects that he's working on. And again, I could definitely still be better at this. There's still definitely room for improvement there, but I think because he feels so connected with his work up here, it makes it easier for me to feel connected to it as well, because he wants to talk more about it when he's at home. I tended to find that when we were in London and he was in a different role in a different company, it was a case of, I'm so stressed at work that the minute I get home, I kind of want to switch off from it and I don't want to talk about it, which I completely appreciated and respected. And yeah, since moving up here with his new role, I find that there's more of an open discussion, more of a constant conversation around his work, which allows me to be more involved. But yeah, definitely still room for improvement, but that one I think I'm happy with so far. Personal development. So, first one is living by the Strength 360 ethos, always having an aesthetic and or performance-based goal. And the aesthetic, if it is an aesthetic goal, I've sort of put a caveat to say it can be maintaining your physique. That can be the goal for certain chunks of time, which is an underrated goal in my opinion. A lot of people get really overwhelmed where fitness is concerned. They think I have to be working on something huge and drastic and major and intense and challenging every single day of my life in order for it to be worthwhile, in order for it to be a beneficial use of my time. And I think that's a really hard-hitting, toxic and unnecessary attitude where fitness is concerned, because all it does is lead you to burnout and resentment. I think having periods of time where your only focus is maintaining the hard work that you've put into your physique or your fitness, maintaining that for a couple of months, I think is a really good goal to have every now and again. It just helps you take the pressure off, take your foot off the gas a little bit, just move your body because it feels good, eat well, enjoy, more of a social life, all of that sort of stuff. You need that every now and again. So yeah, so far obviously first couple of months was fat loss. This month, next month, the month after is going to be very focused on training for my half marathon. And then yeah, after the half marathon, I'm going to have a good couple of months just focusing on maintaining my physique, maintaining my level of fitness to, a greater or lesser degree. I'm not going to be going out on huge long training runs immediately after I finish the half marathon. I'm just going to enjoy summer, enjoy being outside, moving my body in however way feels good at that point. And then got some really strong goals lined up for the latter half of the year. So yeah, so far, big box ticked on that one. The next one is hire myself a new coach. So I was working with my coach up until all through 2024, near enough, up until the end of 2025. So I was with him pretty much just over a year and a half. I needed a bit of a break from what we were working on together. I wanted to pursue goals that he didn't really specialise in necessarily, the running based goals, high rocks based goals. So I needed to take a break from working together. And honestly, only reason I haven't hired a new coach yet for myself is because I haven't found one that completely aligns with what I need from them. Kath and I have this conversation all the time because we both really appreciate working with our own coaches. We know that immeasurable benefit comes from working with a coach in terms of the accountability, the stress relief, the pressure relief off your own shoulders in terms of your training and that sort of thing. But we wish that we could do a bit of a carbon copy of exactly the kind of coaching that we offer in Strength 360. We both say we need a Strength 360 coach for ourselves. And the only option there is that we work with each other as our coaches, but ultimately we're too good of friends now and we have too good a relationship with each other that it just wouldn't work. There wouldn't be any sort of authority there wouldn't be any, it just wouldn't work. But what we offer as a coaching service is exactly what we both want from our own coach, which speaks volumes in terms of how intensely we live what we do, which is amazing and it's an incredible issue to have. But so far, which again is great for us in a way, I've not found anybody that touches our Strength 360 service in terms of that match-to-match quality. So yeah, the search continues, and it's a great struggle to have, like I said, to not find somebody that I think is as good as I am in what I do in the field that I'm in and the service that I provide. So a great issue to have, but an issue nonetheless, because it means I can't then hire somebody to work with and to learn from and to have that accountability. So yeah, that's a box uncrossed so far, but there's still time. Complete my nutritionist degree and qualification and be strict with revision. Okay, so this one I'm still in the process of completing. My lectures go on until October, and then we have our exam period. So, I'm getting through the lectures very regularly, very linearly, and dedicating at least 1.5 to 2 hours per week to my nutritionist work. I could definitely be stricter with the revision side of things. I'm definitely not dedicating as much time as I would want to be doing to the revision side of things. I could use the excuse of not having as much time or enough time, but I'm being really honest, I could definitely create a little bit more time in my week to dedicate to revision. And I think the thing that's putting me off that is feeling like if I'm going to revise, I need to do at least an hour or at least, a solid 60 minutes, which sometimes I just don't have those extra 60 minutes to dedicate to revision each week. But actually revision can just be 10 minutes. I need to lower that barrier to entry where that side of things is concerned. So that's definitely something to continue working on and continue taking that box to a slightly higher degree of sort of a slightly higher standard, I think, moving forward. And then once I've qualified, raise my coaching prices in line with the quality that I can then provide with that extra qualification under my belt. So, obviously not qualified yet, not finished my exams or anything like that, but very firmly putting all of the extra education and knowledge that I've developed over the last 6 months into practice already. So yeah, that's not one that I can tick right now, but that will definitely be one to do in the future. Career and business. So more knowledge-based educational content online, which again, I haven't been doing anywhere near enough of. I've been better. It's been more in my mind when I do content-based work, but I definitely could be better at that. That's not something I've put energy or focus into as much as I wanted to so far this year. So that's definitely something to work on. If there is anything that you want to know a little bit more about, that you want to see a little bit more educational content around on my Instagram, please do leave it in the comments. I'd be really intrigued to hear what you feel like you're missing in terms of education that you can't otherwise find from a reputable source that you trust online. Hopefully I am that reputable source and you would like to hear it from me. So that's definitely something I can do better. Better documenting of my sort of business data and targets. That is something I have got significantly better at this year. I really tailed off on the last 6 months in terms of business data tracking. I didn't prioritize it, and then because I left it for a relatively long stint of time, it then got more and more overwhelming. The classic case of putting something off, procrastinating something until it feels like this huge insurmountable task. That's what the business data tracking sort of task got to for me last year, but I've been significantly better at that. So that is a big tick so far. And then there's a couple that I need to actually tweak because the decisions that we've made inside the business over the last couple of weeks and month means that the targets I've now set for myself in terms of numbers and data and targets and all that sort of thing, they actually need changing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there because there's no point. And there's one that I'm not going to touch on here whatsoever because it's a big, fat, hefty goal. One that is within reach, 100%, but I'm not going to put that excess unnecessary pressure on myself by letting the internet know about it. So that one's going to stay under lock and key for now. Okay, attitude and mindset. There's only one goal under this subsection, which is lead with the energy of someone who's already achieved all of her goals. I think I've done okay with that. That doesn't sound like the energy of somebody who's already achieved all of her goals. I've done okay with that. There are days where I lead 100% with that energy and days where I'm kind of 50-50 and some days where that energy is just not in the picture whatsoever. And I think that's normal, with an attitude like that. That's a high vibrational attitude, high vibration, high energy mindset to remain in for a prolonged period of time, I think it's quite impossible to expect yourself to remain in that mindset 24/7. But more often than not, yeah, again, especially over the last month or so, I feel like my confidence in my abilities is continuously building. My confidence in my goals and my targets for the year are continuously building the closer I get to them. So I'm going to say that's like a half box ticked, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2/3 of a box ticked for the first quarter. And then finally, health and fitness. So the first one is run a sub 150 half marathon. And I can't tell you that I've ticked that one off yet, because technically I don't have the data for it because I haven't raced yet. My race isn't till May, so you're not going to hear about that until my second quarterly review next, that's a total lie. You will hear about it the second I do it. But all that to say, I have never been so confident about a goal as I am for this one. Take of that what you will. Next up, maintain between 61 to 62 kg year round. Now that's a bit of a hefty goal, one that I will probably dip in and out of as the year goes on. I will probably go slightly above 62 kg now and again, but right now I'm a month out from when I finish my diet. My calories are back up to a really good level. I'm kind of roughly averaging about 2,000 calories a day at the moment, and my weight is sitting really comfortably between that 61 to 62 kg mark, which I'm really, really happy with. I feel really good in my body right now. Body image is really high, energy is high, performance is high. I'm feeling good. So that one so far in the year is a big fat tick. Next one up is complete another photo shoot with an even better physique than my previous photo shoot. So that's one that I'm not even going to touch at this point in the year. That is firmly a latter half of 2026 goal. That one I'm just going to park because that's just not where my focus is right now. Oh, this next one again is something that I'm really unsure as to whether I want to put it online, because that kind of means that I have to really properly dedicate myself to it. Oh, okay. Book a marathon for 2027. It's out there. It's out there. So the reason I've put that as a goal for 2026 is because the goal is to book it. So it's a very easy goal to tick off the list, technically, but we're not quite there yet. The thing that's holding me back with that one is that we're going to be in a position where we can start buying a house or a flat towards the end of this year. So between the sort of last couple of months of this year, the first few months of next year, that's probably, hopefully, going to be a very stressful, busy period of moving and, buying and all of the stress that comes with that and the chaos that comes with that. I'm really doubtful as to whether I'll be able to book a spring marathon. And I got two options with marathons. You've either got spring or autumn. You're not doing a summer marathon. You're not doing a winter marathon for your first go. And I've always said that my first marathon I want to do is the London Marathon, but obviously it is just notoriously impossible to get a ballot space there. And it's also incredibly hard to run for a charity at this point. It's just such a competitive market, those spaces. You have to promise and dedicate yourself to a significant chunk of money in order to get one of those charity spaces. So I either have to get over the idea of the London Marathon not being my first marathon experience, or wait until 2028, or get a place in 2027 and make it work. So that one I'm just a little bit all over the place for at the moment. So we'll just park that one for now. We'll put a pin in that one. And then my final one is, again, related to the photo shoot, which we're parking right now. That's not an issue for current me to worry about. Cool. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Hopefully you did as well. It's given me a really nice sense of clarity heading into the second quarter of the year, heading in and understanding where I want my focus to be, where I need to give a little bit more energy. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. Nice. Lovely. And I kind of forgot about my tea. It is lukewarm now. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it gave you a little bit of motivation to go and check how your goals are doing for 2026 so far. If there are any related to fitness or fat loss or, self-development in that sense that you need some help with, then feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. We can talk things through. As always, I will leave the link to our 4-week free coaching offer in my bio. So if you're looking for that kind of first step into your fitness and fat loss journey, then that's where you want to go. But thank you so much for watching. Please do drop this video a like if you enjoyed it. It gives me a good understanding as to, you know, what videos people are looking for from me on this channel. And if you're new here and you want to stick around, drop the subscribe button a little poke, and I'll see you in the next one.